Hello and welcome to my channel Dev Classes. In this series of short videos, I am going to discuss some of the important poems of English literature. Today's poem is The Mirror by Sylvia Plath. Let's begin. Before we start discussing the poem in details, let's know something about the author or the poetess Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath was born in the year 1932 and she died in 1963. She was an American poet, a novelist, and a short story writer. The poems of Sylvia Plath can be classified into a category known as confessional poetry. Confessional poetry or confessionalism is a kind of poetry in which the poets write about their past traumatic experiences. Two of her best known published collections are The Colossus and Other Poems, published in 1960, and Ariel, published in 1965, as well as The Bell Jar, which is a semi-autobiographical novel published shortly before her death in 1963. The collected poems were published in 1981, which included previously unpublished works. For this collection, Plath was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry in 1982, making her the fourth to receive this honor posthumously. Sylvia Plath was born in Boston at Massachusetts. She graduated from Smith College in the same city and the University of Cambridge, England. There she was a student at Newnham College. She married a fellow poet named Ted Hughes in the year 1956, and they lived together in the United States and then in England. Their relationship was a tumultuous one, and in her letters she alleges abuse at his hands. They had two children before separating in 1962. Plath was clinically depressed for most of her adult life, and she was treated multiple times with electroconvulsive therapy (ECT), and she killed herself in the year 1963. Now one can imagine how traumatic the life of Sylvia Plath would have been that she had to take this decision of ending her own life, and she killed herself in the most horrible way. One can imagine she had put her head inside an oven and just ended her life. Although this is something which should never be thought for a second, nobody should think about it. Also thinking about it, suicide should be considered as a sin. But if you read the poems of Sylvia Plath and try to understand her feelings, you would get to know that she could never ever have peace in her life. When she was a child, she thought her father was abusive to her, and when she grew up, she chose a person, a man of her own choice, and thought that this man would not be the same, and in him I will find love and affection and peace. But uh, on the other hand, he also turned out to be abusive for her, and this really depressed her, and one can find how depressed she was in her poems, through her lines, and she finally lost it and killed herself, which is disheartening because she could never see the fame and name that she had achieved through her poems after her death, and this is really unfortunate. But nevertheless, Sylvia Plath and her name and her memories and her poems are still alive today, through her poems, which are really great to read and listen, but they are also nerve chilling to a great extent. And the problems or the tragedies of domestic violence which she had gone through is not unique. I mean, there are many people around who go through it and they never even talk about it. But then there was Sylvia Plath who wrote about it in large volumes, but people did not understood the meaning behind it while she was alive. And after now that she is gone, I mean, people still do researches. Students and scholars and professors and lecturers, they research about her poems and her life and the traumas that she had to go through. Now there are feminism, there are feminists, there are so many schemes and there are so many voices are raised. Maybe Sylvia Plath was one of the reasons that now domestic violence is being talked about, things like these, and sufferings of women. But it is a lesson, her life is a lesson, and her poems are beautiful yet sad, yet depressing. But they, I think, they give a big lesson to the entire world that domestic violence is something to be talked about. It must be eradicated from the society. And maybe one great life suffered a lot, taught a lesson to the entire world. While she was still a teenager, Sylvia Plath had written in her journal, "Somehow I have to keep and hold the rapture of being 17. Every day is so precious. I feel infinitely sad at the thought of all this time melting farther and farther away from me as I grow older." Now, if you look at these lines, they express fear, fear of growing old, fear of having wrinkles, fear of getting sick and being weak. But on the other hand, it also expresses a kind of rule which is forcefully imposed upon women to look beautiful all the time, which should not happen. Like, every stage of life, every phase of life should be celebrated. And again in her journal, she wrote, "I am afraid of getting older. I am afraid of getting married. Spare me from cooking 3 meals a day. Spare me from the relentless cage of routine and rote." Sylvia Plath had this feeling that getting old is difficult. There are difficulties which older person has to go through, and she didn't want to face all these things when she was still younger. Now let us try to read and analyze the poem line by line. Stanza 1. I am silver and exact, I have no preconceptions. A mirror is the narrator here, and it is telling its audience that it is silver in color. Mirrors are often silver in color. And I am exact. It means that a mirror would reflect the image of a person or thing which is placed in front of it without any biasedness. Means a mirror won't hide anything from the person or the thing placed in front of it, and it won't show anything which is not there. It would just reflect the image as the thing placed in front of it is, or as the person in front of it is. So it has no preconceptions, meaning the mirror is saying that I am not like humans who have conceptions about things and people beforehand. I just reflect the image or the person or the thing which is placed in front of me. Whatever I see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. A mirror is not moved by love or dislike as humans are. What happens is that even a judge won't give proper judgment because either he loves somebody or hates somebody. If you love somebody, you cannot punish them. You cannot say bad things to them. On the other hand, if you hate somebody, even if they are gentle, they are nice, even if they have some good qualities, you cannot give them compliments because you just dislike them. But mirrors, on the other hand, mirrors are just unbiased, they do not have any preconceptions, and they would just swallow immediately the image or the reflection of the person or thing placed in front of it and present its image in front of the person. So it says that I am not misted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful. The mirror says that I am not cruel. If I show bad features of a woman, of a man, or of a child, or of a thing, then I am not cruel. I am only truthful. I am showing things, I am showing person, I am showing people as they are, as they look. I do not lie. I do not say that you are beautiful if somebody is ugly, and I do not say ugly if somebody is beautiful. I just reflect things or persons as they are in front of me. The eye of a little god four cornered. He says that I am the eye of a little god and I have four corners. Here, the poet is trying to present the mirror as a part of God or as a God himself. And just like a mirror has four corners, it is said that God can see everywhere. God can see in the four corners, whether it is east or west or north or south. A God's eye can follow everywhere. Just like that, mirrors, nothing can be hidden from a mirror. Whatever is in front of it, it would reflect it. And he does not lie, neither the God nor the mirror. So here, a God mirror is compared with a God. Most of the time, I mediate on the opposite wall. What does a mirror do? It looks in the wall in front of it. It looks towards the wall in front of it all the time, 24/7. It is pink with speckles, and it says that the wall in front of me is pink in color, and it has speckles, means it has spots, it has dark circles. It shows that the wall in front of the mirror has been old. It has become old and it has now dark circles. It has not been painted. I have looked at it so long, and the mirror says that I have been looking at this wall in front of me since so many years, and now it has become dark and it has got some speckles. I think it is part of my heart. And then the mirror says that I think that the wall in front of me is a part of my heart, but it flickers. And it says, the mirror says that it flickers, that the mirror flickers means that faces and darkness separate us over and over. It means that whenever a person comes in front of the mirror, in order to look at their features and in order to look at their face, and whenever night comes and darkness arrives, then the mirror cannot look at the wall in front of it, and what happens? That the faces or the persons and the darkness separate the wall and the mirror over and over again. Stanza 2. Now I am a lake, a woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Now the mirror says that I have taken shape of a lake, and a woman bends over me, comes near me and kneels and tries to look at me and find her own image. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. Now here the mirror is trying to say that when she looks at her own reflection in me, when I am a lake, she does not get satisfied because I show her true images. But the candles or the moon, on the other hand, they would hide her wrinkles and dark circles and freckles because the candle lights flicker, or the moonlight is dim, and they do not reflect the true image of the woman when she tries to look at herself in the candlelight or in the moonlight. But on the other hand, the lake or the mirror shows her true image as she really is. Then the mirror says, I see her back and reflect it faithfully. Now, what does the mirror do? That even when she turns away from the mirror in the form of lake, it sees her back when she is away from it and reflect her back even faithfully as it would reflect her face. She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. It means that when she is turned away and when she gets to know that she has become old and when she has wrinkles now, she gets sad and she starts crying and tears appear on her cheeks, and her hands start to tremble, her hands shake out of agitation and fear of growing old. And this is how the woman rewards the lake or the mirror for reflecting the image of the woman. How? By shedding tears and shaky hands or trembling hands. Then it says, I am important to her. The mirror says, I am very important to the woman. She comes and goes. She comes and goes to me every day. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. Every single morning as the dawn arrives, the woman comes to the mirror and tries to look at herself in her own image reflected by the mirror. In me, she has drowned a young girl. The mirror says that she was a young girl, a pretty young girl, when she came to me for the first time, and now she has become an old woman, and just by looking at me every day, she has grown old from a young girl. Rises toward her day after day like a terrible fish. Now what happens, that mirror says that the young girl rises toward her day after day like a terrible fish. The woman is not happy with how she is growing. She is sad. She is terrified to grow old because she does not want to grow old and be sick like everybody else. But this is inevitable. Everybody has to grow old and everybody has to become weak at certain age. And mirror says that she comes and tries to find herself, find her image in me every day, every single day. And in this manner, Sylvia Plath herself represents the fear of growing old and how it is imposed to women that you must look good all the time, you must look charming all the time. The poem does not have any defined rhyme scheme or meter, and the lack of meter and rhyme scheme also represent the void in life of Sylvia Plath. So the poem has been beautifully written by Plath, which shows the voidness of her life. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos like this.